So I want to purchase a sampler or a groove box to make music, but I don't know exactly what to buy. This is the question that I receive most of the times in my direct messages or somewhere in the comments, and this is a very important and always relevant question. Which sampler or which groove box to buy that will suit my needs? But before diving deep into discussion what device fits you most, I would like to address the three major mistakes that a lot of people make before buying these wonderful devices. Mistake number one is buying the device based only on your available money. This is a very common situation. I receive messages like, I have $500, for example, and I can buy a Roland SP-404mk2 today. And I know this itch because we are all producers, musicians, we need the gear, the gas gear acquisition syndrome. When we have money, we want to spend it today as soon as possible. We don't want to wait until we get some more money and buy something else. We want to buy something that is available for purchase right now. But this is the biggest mistake that you can make. Let me give you an example. Quite often, very often, people ask me, okay, what sampler, what groove box can you recommend? And I start giving like this example, that example, and then I see that the man is texting like, but what about the SP-404? I say something, so I can buy the SP, and I understand that the man is already focused on the device, and I ask him, is your decision based on the available money that you have right now in your pocket? And he says, or he says yes. And I say like, but this is a big mistake because you need to decide based upon your needs, upon your production workflow, because this is all different. You can be recording multi-band, you can be recording some punk band, you can be making beats, you can be making some techno, jungle, or a lot of genres, different types of music, and these devices are completely different. So this is the first thing where you make mistake. Firstly, you need to answer to yourself, what exactly do you need from that device? Or, for example, if you are not sure what exactly you need, because maybe you just started making music, then we need to do a lot of homework, do a lot of research, but we'll talk about this later. People buy the SP-404 because it's cheaper than MPC One Plus, for example, and then they text me, how do I edit notes on my 404? How do I open a plugin? How do I this or that, arrange something, like not arrange as we know it exists in 404, but like real arrange mode? And I say, well, you don't, there isn't, you can't. And this comes into such a big surprise to this person. Of course, like a lot of people will write in the comments that, okay, this person who bought it needed to do homework before buying. But I understand, we live in such world today when we are influenced by the people on Instagram, YouTube. They sit in very beautiful surroundings with beautiful samplers, devices, groove boxes, pushing some buttons, making music, and the person who is watching, he's buying. We are all like, you know, those animals or birds who see something shiny and we try to catch it. And we think that the secret behind this awesome music lies within this device or that device. And we need this device as well to make similarly powerful and catchy music. But the main answer is no. Mistake number two is being afraid to make a mistake. Let me explain you. A lot of people think about purchasing some gear as a deal of a lifetime. And I understand that a lot of gear costs a lot of money and everybody should be rich and so the choice will be easier. No, I'm not talking about it. I'm talking about the fact that when you buy something, for example, the MPC Live 2, you can buy this MPC, try playing with it, and then you eventually understand that this is a device which doesn't suit your needs at all. It's not that you don't understand how it works. And then eventually you understand that this is completely different workflow. This is not how your brain works. You need something else. Just sell this device. Very fortunately, not like with iPhones or car. When you buy a brand new car, when you buy a brand new iPhone, the moment you buy it, the moment you step out of the shop, these things, they lose like 30% of their price. But when you buy Live 2, when you sell it, it's almost the same money as you bought it. The outboard gear in music world, luckily, they don't lose money in the used market, and this is very, very good. And considering what is happening in the world today, the demand is very huge for samplers, groove boxes, and the supply, there are some problems with supply right now in lots of countries. So in the used market, and I am the person who likes and loves buying gear in used market, because I understand that buying a used iPhone or buying a used MacBook, for some people it's a very controversial topic. But when you buy a used SP-404, this is excellent, because you don't pay this extra money when you buy it in some expensive shop in the center of your city. You pay the money that it costs. I think you understand what I'm saying. And then you sell it, and there are no hard feelings to it. So I'm the advocate for buying something in the used market. I like it a lot. Mistake number 3, which is also crucially important, because a lot of people are trying to reinvent the wheel. Let me explain. If you have a MacBook, like a modern MacBook, if you have a controller like this, which is about or under $100, this is everything that you need for perfect music production with any modern MacBook. By modern, I mean M1 Pro and something newer. Mine is a 2021 M1 Pro 16 inches. With that kind of MacBook and any available for any budget controller, you can achieve all success in the world that you need. Because with Ableton, with Logic plus a controller, possibilities are limitless. But again, we relate to the person who sits in a very beautiful surroundings with some mystery box, pushing some buttons, making beautiful music. And a lot of people, they tried making music in Logic, Ableton, whatever, with clicking the mouse, and they don't have this beautiful music. And they see the person who uses some MPC Live 2, or right here I have the Push 3, and people think, okay, so this person is making wonderful music with that device, so I need that device as well. The logical connection is this. Well, it shouldn't be like this. It's absolutely far from the truth. But we as people, we think that way. If some people, when they show off their skills on some MPC, Roland, Push, or anything else, we think, okay, here is the secret to success. Here is the secret to wonderful music. No, guys, no. This is a trap. What I actually need is skills. And these devices are much more limited than any of your DAW like Logic, FL Studio, or Ableton, or anything else. They are extremely limited if we compare them to a computer. But we'll talk about that later again. And let's start with the best entry-level setup that you can have. I would say it like this. If you want to have the best setup possible, which is like entry-level, not breaking the buck, and to work comfortably, you need some modern MacBook starting from 2021 M1 Pro, and something like this, a controller which is about $100. This is the perfect setup. Or an iPad. We know at least Madlib is a fan of iPad workflow, and a lot of people are making wonderful music with iPad. A lot of people are making wonderful music with different things, with spoons and forks, but we're not talking about this. We're talking about some real things. Maybe it will disappoint you, but there is no magic device, magic button, or magic bullet. There is just your skills, any DAW, and a very cheap controller, like $100 plus or minus, and that will give you everything. But if you're still here, if you need more, if you want to limit yourself with something like that, let's talk about this. We will begin with the devices before $500 range, and one of the most famous devices is the Roland SP-404mk2, because this is a modern device with the Roland legacy, and a lot of people see it on the internet. And again, a lot of people text me like, should I buy the Roland? And let's talk about this 404mk2, because you may be blindfolded by some dreams that you envision, but maybe it's not true. So there are no synthesizers. Because guess what? You may be surprised if some professionals are watching, but some people actually buy the 404s and then text me like, how do I access a synthesizer? How do I do this or that? And I say, no, it's impossible. Bass generator, yes, but people are expecting like synthesizers. So yeah, it's a sampler. It's a very pure sampler, honest sampler. It's born out of this sampling history. It's made to be just a sampler. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just a sampler. And if you see some musicians on the internet, on YouTube, who have this SP-404, they press some buttons and wonderful music comes out, most probably they made this music somewhere in Ableton, in Logic, somewhere, and then they just transported this music onto the SD card and they play live with it. For a lot of people this comes out as a surprise, but for a lot of people who use the SP-404, they understand that this is like one of the most popular workflows because it's very handy when it comes to live performances, when it comes to recording videos. Of course, it's better to sit in front of a camera with the SP pressing some prepared music than if you're just imagine if some blogger, if some influencer sits in front of a camera, takes a mouse, clicks something in Ableton, and the rest of the video for 1 minute, he's like just listening to Ableton stuff. This will look silly and we understand, but if he's in front of a camera with the SP or with any device, you already glued to the screen. You think that, okay, so this is why it has such fantastic music. But a lot of producers, they actually import the music that they made in Ableton or somewhere into the SP just to play it from there. Of course, a lot of people make music on the SP, but it's not as you maybe imagine how the music is made. It's just a sampler, so you need samples. You can download them from Splice, from vinyl, from anywhere, but you need some samples to make music out of it. So it's not that you have blank canvas and you create something. You need either synthesizers, like real deal synthesizers, Minimoog or something, and attach it to the SP, or you just need samples. Within this price range, there is my beloved device, Ableton Move. Oh my god, I have a lot of things to say about Ableton Move because I bought it, I used it, I tried to understand it. Okay, let's talk about Ableton Move. And before we actually talk about it, a lot of people think, and write me, like, is it true that Ableton Move is just a cut in half push 3? And this is so far from being the truth. By no means Ableton Move is half or 1/4 or just any, corner of the push 3. It's an absolutely different device. Ableton Move and Push 3, we can't compare them. But we'll talk about the Push 3 later, now it's Ableton Move. I try to understand this device, and in my opinion, your opinion may differ. It's my opinion, my channel, my experience. You may watch the videos, maybe they will pop up somewhere in the screen, but Ableton Move is not completely a groovebox, and it's not completely a sampler. For example, SP-404 is 100% sampler. All the workflow, all the functions that you need for a sample-based workflow, they are there. Of course, there are some reasonable limitations, but there is everything that you need, just your sampler. And Ableton Move, it tries to be a groovebox, it tries to be a sampler, and turns out like it's none of the above. There are a lot of strange, weird limitations. Basically, a couple of weeks ago, it learned to slice with this like automatic 16 slices or something. So it's not only about that. If we take that function, that limitation, and this function, and it all builds up to Ableton Move, which I didn't understand. And it's not a controller, because if you think that you buy this Ableton Move and you'll be able to control your Ableton DAW with it perfectly, no. Let me tell you that with this device, which is a third-party company, Arturia, that has nothing to do with Ableton, I can control the Ableton DAW with this much better than with Ableton Move, which is Ableton's product. This is nonsense. I don't understand how they managed to do this, but I would rather buy Minilab 3 or Novation Mark IV models. They are beautiful, and I control Ableton with these controllers or with Native Instruments. I control Ableton with these controllers for $100 much better than with Ableton Move for $500. I can't exchange projects back and forth. I can only import into... So there are a lot of things. I don't want to talk about Ableton Move in a lot of details, but my advice to you is do your homework. Do a lot of research before buying Ableton Move. I'm not saying that this is a device you shouldn't buy. I'm saying that this is a device that you may not fully understand how it works, because I, again, received tons of messages where people thought that Ableton Move is a direct competitor to SP-404 because they have this kind of similar vibe, similar aesthetics, sampling on the go, music on the go, but it's very far from the truth. The SP-404 and Ableton Move are extremely different devices, So before buying it, just do your research. Within this price range, there is, of course, Teenage Engineering, my, again, beloved company. And without any irony, Teenage Engineering is perfect in marketing, is perfect in packaging their products, in designing their products. But this is not about music. At least it's my opinion. It's not about music, it's about marketing, it's about, shiny design. Very excellent company, not about music, about this thing. But anyway, KO133, which is a popular device on Instagram and social media. And again, let me unveil a secret. Most probably your favorite beatmaker or producer already made that project in Ableton or Logic and imported into the KO133 and just placed the buttons in front of a camera very nicely. And again, this is a perfectly beautiful design. I would like to buy this KO133 just to place it somewhere in my studio. I wouldn't even switch it on, just I would look at it, be surprised and amazed by this wonderful design and just feel satisfied. That's it. I think I wouldn't use it for like real music production. And most importantly, it doesn't have pads. The thing that you think is pads is actually buttons. Like here, I don't know what to compare it with, but here it's pads, everywhere is pads. But on the KO133, it's actually buttons. I don't know how convenient it will be for you when you play live, when you just try to finger drum with the 133. Probably you will break it, but you just have to remember that these are not pads. These are buttons, simple square buttons. But again, you might love this device. I'm not saying that it's bad or something. I'm just saying that maybe you don't understand completely how this device works. And again, please watch the videos, watch the tutorials, do your homework before buying KO133. Because again, a lot of people text me and they think it works this way, but in reality it works absolutely differently. And now we will jump from this $500 range to the Push 3 device, which is much more expensive. And of course, you hear that it costs $1,000 for a controller version, which I have, and $2,000 for standalone version, which is 100% lie, because this $1,000 is only in vacuum somewhere on the internet website. In fact, when you buy this device, you pay for the delivery, you pay for the tax. It comes to 100. So I bought mine for about $1,400. It's not $1,000, it's $1,400. And of course, the standalone would be 2,400 something. And one important thing, personally, I don't understand how Ableton can sleep at night, but listen to me. When you buy this device or standalone device, you get Ableton Live Intro. Listen to it again. Ableton Live Intro. I bought this Arturia for $100 or less. And they gave me, you guessed it right, Ableton Live Intro. I bought a lot of cheap stuff, and they gave me Ableton Live Intro. And I bought this flagship device of Ableton, and they give us Ableton Live Intro, not standard, not suite, intro. And let me explain that suite version costs $700. I don't remember about the standard version, maybe like $400, but it's not cheap. $700 for the suite. I can't justify this decision by Ableton. I don't find words to justify that. It's not even greed, it's, I don't know, just I will leave this space blank because I get mad all the time when I think about it. It's something that you have to know, but we gathered here to talk about workflow. So here is the workflow. When I just bought it about 2 years ago when it was released. So when I just bought it, I bought a controller version. And in the beginning, as I'm a fan of MPC standalone, and judging by my channel, you understand that I'm for, we'll talk about that later. In the beginning, I tried working like this. So I attached it to the MacBook, I shut off the laptop screen so it would be black, and I used this controller as if it was standalone, but just attached to the computer with Type-C cable. So my mentality was like a standalone. If I couldn't access Pro Q3 with here, I didn't open it. If I couldn't open Pigments, I didn't open. You understand, like standalone mentality, standalone workflow. And it was absolutely fine. In fact, Push 3 is the only device that comes close to MPC workflow, which is a good thing because none of the above mentioned devices are near the MPC workflow, unfortunately. But this one is like very, very close competitor to MPC. Very close competitor. There are some things why it's still behind MPC, although it's very, futuristic and so on and so forth, but they are very close competitors, and we'll discuss this. But then eventually I started noticing that from time to time I use my mouse, my trackpad to open some plugin. Like I do something here, then I open Soothe 2. I do something here, then I open Isotope or something. I do something here, I open some VST plugins and so on and so forth. And more and more often I used my mouse, and eventually I noticed that I use this Push 3 only to play some drums and to chop, slice a sample. And that's it. And then I asked myself a question. Is it worth it? Like, is it worth the workflow that I'm using only for, making drums and slicing the sample for $1,400? And this is a very rhetorical question because the same thing I can do with my controller, which is like $100. But this is an open question, rhetorical question. I can't answer this question myself, but I have some thoughts right now. I use it as a controller and less and less and less I touch it. And so right now, let me tell you the truth. Right now, I'm keeping the Push 3 controller only because I'm waiting for the MPC Live 3. This is a kind of investment, so to say. As soon as MPC Live 3 comes out, I'm selling this Push 3 and I'm buying the MPC Live 3. This is my plan right now. So this is just money in the shape and form of sampler and groovebox. But just in general, it's a fantastic device. I like it. It's just I don't use it, especially when the MPC 3 point something came out. I absolutely love the new software by MPC. Not the computer software because I don't use it, but the operation system of the new MPC, so to say. And this one, I just don't use it. I don't find space in my workflow. For example, the SP-404, I use it even more often than this, despite the fact that 404 has so much more limitations than Push 3, which is like Ableton, but a controller of Ableton. However, this is what attracts me. The limitations of the 404, they attract me because sometimes I want to, there are cars and there are bicycles. And it's not that cars are always better than bicycles. Of course, if you want to go to a supermarket which is far away from your home, you drive a car. But we see a lot of people who drive bicycles to mountains around the city because they just want different kind of experience. And for me, SP-404 is like bicycle, it's different kind of experience, which I can't say about the Push 3. Yes, of course, it's again different experience than MPC, than 404, but MPC and Push 3 are extremely similar. But when they are extremely similar, I actually prefer the MPC much more than Push 3. So it's just, I have 24 hours in a day, I have lots of work to do, and there is just not enough space, not enough time in my life to use both MPC and Push and 404 and everything else. But all in all, again, this is a fantastic device. And I would say that it seems to me people have played with Push 3 because MPC is extremely popular on the internet. 404 is extremely popular on the internet, but I don't see lots of people who use Push 3. And it's not just they don't film videos. No, I have a lot of people, a lot of students, a lot of friends who bought Push 3. They used it, tried using this workflow, and they just sold it because they didn't find space again in their workflow. They preferred using MPC or 404. I don't know how to explain this, just let's leave it without comments. It's just what I noticed, that in the beginning there was a lot of hype with Push 3 when it came out, maybe half a year later, but then absolutely quiet. Now I get only videos about Push 3 when some new version of Ableton comes out, and this is it. And now finally we need to talk about the MPC models, because this is the thing which I love. This is my life. This is my online school. This is my work and everything. MPC, I'm an absolute fan of MPC models. And again, one of the most common questions that I receive is, what MPC model should I buy today? How are they different? Let's take the money out of this equation, because again, relating to my first point, judging what device to buy based on your money that you have right now, maybe not always the best decision. So let's talk about the functions. Hear me out. All of the MPC models are absolutely similar. They are not different. MPC X is not better than MPC One. MPC X SE is not better than Live 2 or One Plus. They are absolutely similar. It's like choosing between iPhone 16 Pro Max or iPhone 16 Pro or iPhone 16. It's one and the same operation system. It's one and the same phone. It's just bigger or smaller, 3 cameras or 2 cameras. The same thing with MPC. If you have the money only for One Plus, go for it. It's the same experience as you buy the MPC X SE. And yes, there are 4 gigabytes of RAM, which gives us almost nothing. I personally used MPC X SE, and yes, it's a wonderful device. When you look at it, you are speechless. It's insane. It's insane. At least once in your lifetime, you have to have it in your studio. It's an incredible device. But personally for me, it gave me no advantage over the Live 2. Because I am the advocate of Live 2. If, for example, somebody stops me in the street and with a camera asks, oh, what is the best sampler groove box to buy? I say, MPC Live 2. And if you wake me at night, I will always say MPC Live 2. For me, it's the best device. Let me show you why. Because you press the button and it's already available for you. It's working. It has the built-in battery. It has the sound bar with wonderful speakers. It's not attached to the wall with wires. You are absolutely mobile with your music production. It's everything that you can desire. There are funny comments on the internet where people write, oh, your MPC is not attached to anything, you're a phony, it's all fake. No, guys, it's not. It's a device that works absolutely 100% standalone. And among all the standalone devices, only MPC Live 2 and Ableton Move are absolutely standalone because they have built-in speakers and batteries. For example, the Roland, it doesn't have the built-in speakers. You need some headphones. Wait a second. Probably OP1 models, probably they have the built-in speaker, but OP and the teenage engineering, it's about marketing and beautiful packaging and design. It's not necessarily about music, but they are beautiful devices. So, frankly speaking, MPC Live 2 is the only device that stands out from the crowd. It's absolutely different from all the other MPCs, only because it has a built-in battery and soundbar, only because of this. That's the only difference. If, for example, you work only in your studio with your monitors, with headphones, then there is no difference for you. But personally, for me, it's a lifesaver because I take it anywhere with me. And I absolutely appreciate soundbar and the built-in battery. For me, these are killer features that can't be replaced by any other devices. Of course, there are some differences in the outputs. For example, MPC Live 2 has 6 outputs, X has 8 outputs, One Plus has 2 outputs. But frankly speaking, I have a lot of students, I have a lot of friends who use MPCs, and I can name a couple of them who really need to use the extra outputs. It's not that it's crucially important for you, but if it's crucially important for you, there wouldn't be a question like, what is the output and how do I need to use the outputs? You already know the answer, how you need the outputs, the extra outputs. But on average, the user needs only 2 outputs, for left speaker and for right speaker. That's all. So giving you a quick answer how these MPC models are different, well, they aren't. Okay, for example, MPC key 37 is different because it has 37 keys, but and it's red. This is the only difference between MPC Live 2. But if I attach this Arturia or some other controller to MPC, boom, you have key 37 or key 61 or something like this. Yes, again, key 61 and MPC X SE, they have 4 gigs of RAM, but again, as I repeated all the time, it doesn't give you, at least today, it doesn't give you like real difference. It would be nice if they removed some limitations, for example 8 audio tracks when you have 4 gigs of RAM, but for now it doesn't give you real difference. Okay, maybe on the MPC X SE with 4 gigs of RAM, the presets in Fabric Excel, they change a bit faster than on my Live 2, but I didn't notice any other differences. And again, listen closely. These MPCs and Push 3 and Roland and everything, they are extremely limited devices. Because again, quite often I get the messages like some person bought MPC Live 2 or MPC One or X or something because they watched some videos on the internet. And then they ask me like, how do I do this function on MPC? And I understand that this is the function that can only be made somewhere in Ableton. Probably he's an Ableton user and bought MPC because he thought MPC is better than Ableton. It has more features than Ableton. And no, it's absolutely different. It's 180 degrees different. For example, for some people, it's a very big surprise when they learn. You know, in Ableton, there is a function when you take a track or a drum break, for example, from some old funk, you load it into Ableton and it automatically analyzes this waveform. It puts markers and it places all of your transients, and your sample is perfectly looped and synced and warped within seconds. And when people understand and realize that it's impossible to do so on MPC and some other functions that they are used to in Ableton or Logic, they ask me, oh, why do you guys buy these devices if they are more limited than a simple Ableton? And this is a very good rhetorical or psychological question, because a lot of people buy standalone devices because they understand in Logic, in Ableton, they have limitless possibilities. And I talked about it on this channel a lot of times. And when you have limitless possibilities, quite often it turns into nothing. When you have choice, it's good. But when you have a lot of choice, quite often it's not very good. The same thing with VSTs, with plugins, with VST synthesizers. When you can have everything that you can imagine, quite often you end up having nothing. And buying some limited boxes, some limited devices, you start living in this small world, in this ecosystem, and your brain starts working differently. I talked about it on this channel quite often. We buy MPC or Roland or Push 3 not because it can automatically do some magic stuff with warping or something like this. No, we buy it because we want to have more focus, more concentration, because you can open Suno AI and with a couple of clicks create an album. But we want something different. You know, fishing exists and people go fishing, but they can go to a supermarket to buy the steak of fish. It's already sliced, it's already prepared for you, but a lot of people still go fishing. Are they crazy? No, it's just, it's their hobby. They have this escapism. They enjoy this moment as we enjoy the moment when we create something on these devices. When we have some limitations here and we work around these limitations and we feel something extra when we use the laptop that we use during our day jobs. And I have a lot of people who are absolutely tired of the goddamn laptop that they have been using since morning, and then they come home to use a laptop again. They are disgusted by that time with their MacBook or whatever, and just they want to have something different, some different experience. It's like actually exercising. When you start finger drumming, when you start producing music, it's different, you know, it's just different. And for example, I personally don't feel like going fishing. I'd rather go and buy this fish steak in a supermarket, as a lot of people don't understand working with these samplers and groove boxes. For them, it's like fishing. They don't understand this process. But for us, we understand why. And this is the answer that we have. More focus, more concentration. We are more related to this music that we produce with these devices. It's just that simple, although they are so much more limited than any available computer at home. And this is what I wanted to discuss with you today, more like a philosophical answer to the question which gear, which sampler or groove box to buy. And if you want to learn more about how to use these samplers and groove boxes, you can watch these videos right here. They are very useful. See you in the next video. Bye. Although a lot of people prefer to say peace or something like this. Bye, goodbye is the more natural way for me to talk to people, so bye.